What's up, guys? This is Cap again with Esports GG, and today I want to talk about the Southeast Asian powerhouse team that is T1. Just managed to place third at the Animajor as well as first at ESL One Summer. Now, I want to specifically talk about how T1 and their very unique playstyle, how they specifically draft and teamfight to put pressure on their opponents to be able to try and end the game. Throughout both the Animajor as well as ESL One Summer, T1 consistently employed a unique drafting archetype of tanky damage over time heroes with the preference for superior late game. The core principles of T1's style are as follows: tanky cores, damage over time, vision and frontlining, big team fight, and outscaling their opponents. The most interesting one of these tenets is T1's preference for damage over time rather than burst damage. In a meta that has favored burst damage heroes such as Lion, Mars, Puck, TA, and Tiny, a natural reaction to this has been heroes with innate survivability and items that tank you up, such as Heart, Satanic, Scotty, and particularly Eon Disc. T1 seems to focus more on this reactionary style than pretty much any other team. This concept of damage over time versus burst damage is an interesting idea that's being employed here. Burst damage has the benefit of being able to kill a hero before they're able to respond with any spells. Couple this with strong initiation, burst damage effectively gives a team a numbers advantage at the very start of a fight. However, if this target is strong enough to be able to survive or gets off certain spells before they die, the burst damage lineup typically falls off. If this happens, the damage over time abilities and heroes will ultimately give you superior damage not only in that fight, but usually better late game as well. So, this concept of tanky heroes that can survive through burst damage and strong scaling damage over time is a potent duo that T1 employs heavily throughout their roster. Then, mix in a bit of teamfight, defensive vision, and superior late game, T1 leaves their opponents feeling constantly pressured to end the game, but also struggling to start successful teamfights in the first place. AUI even told me that a lot of this playstyle can be reflected in how T1 builds their Viper, Dragonlance BKB, with a focus on tank and sustained damage rather than the ATOS disable and burst build. So, let's start with how T1 drafts in order to make this unique playstyle work. Each draft needs some of the following heroes: a frontlining vision support, such as Enchantress, Nyx, Abaddon, and Train Protector. These are heroes that can play very forward on the map, in front of their cores to give vision and break incoming smoke ganks, typically curbing and redirecting enemy aggression onto themselves while ensuring that their cores are free to farm around the map. A team fighting support, Ancient Apparition, Wyvern, Warlock, and to some extent Lion. Part of having superior late game is not just about having the strongest carry, but also having supports that contribute in big ways to team fights. Tanky, damage over time cores from their 2 or 3 position, Leshrac, Viper, Venomancer, Doom, and Dragonite. These heroes are designed to be able to push out lanes while being tanky enough that they're not easily threatened by a small number of heroes. Each one of these heroes can also frontline in teamfights for various extents while outputting huge amounts of damage for any teamfight that lasts longer than 5 seconds. Finally, T1 usually ensures that they have superior late game, whether it's through scaling offlaners such as Doom and Magnus, or just late game carries like Spectre, Terrorblade, or Lifestealer. This is perhaps the most important but also simplest concept, as it ensures that T1's reactionary style feels comfortable drawing the game out. They don't have to be the one making the first move. Again, this is not purely to do with one single carry, but having multiple cores or even supports that can scale late into the game or make their carry stronger. For a lineup to be strong in specific areas, it often means that it's lacking in something else. For T1, this means their drafts normally are lacking in strong lanes in early game, and also sometimes lack big AoE teamfight initiation. As a result, T1 will often lose lanes or be behind in net worth at 15 minutes, but will usually grind out an advantage going later on into the game. T1 does this by constantly employing split pushing, defensive warding and positioning, and counter initiation. The result is that T1 has the longest average match duration, and they are also the only team of the top 8 at the Animajor to have a longer average match time in wins rather than losses. The 7 other teams have a much lower average match duration in winning games, sometimes by as much as 5 to 7 minutes. Interestingly enough, Virtus Pro is the team with the lowest average match duration, so this grand finals match for ESL One Summer was truly a clash of playstyles. If you like this video and want to be able to see more, be sure to do all that liking and subscribing stuff. Otherwise, that's it for me.